Welcome back, fellow guitar players. Today we have part 3 of Plini's Cascade guitar study. This time we're looking at the guitar breakdown that comes right after part 2 of the guitar study, which is at around 1 minute and 40 seconds. Pretty nice little chuggy breakdown with some very interesting variations thrown in there. Remember, we're playing in a different tuning. Tuning will be in the description below, along with the timestamps so that you can jump through the video to find the tabs on screen. Let's get right into it. Exercise 1. Exercise 1 goes as follows. We're starting off with a couple of chugs. That'll be starting at open string E, A, and then 3 on the D string. And then we're muting those. And that'll be twice. And you have to really, pay attention to the tempo, play along with the drums and the metronome to really catch that chug when it hits. What you also want to do is you want to really make sure that the sound is very short. You have to have a heavy gate on your guitar sound for this riff, because there's a lot of silent moments in between each chug and each note that are very important for the feel of the riff itself. So we have the 2 chugs, 0, 0, 3. Then we go to the E string, double open. We move to the 5th fret, and we're starting off from D, 5, G, 5, and B, 5. We're basically fretting the 5th fret on those 3 strings. What I want you to do is when you play the open notes and it gets time to play the fretted notes, you want to mute the open string with your other fingers. As you can see, I'm using this finger here to mute all the other notes that I just played, which are the double open E. From there we go to the E, 5th fret, 5, 5, 9. We're basically also fretting here, and then we just add the 9 at the 3rd string, D. So far we have once you hit this chord, it's also muted. From there, we jump all the way up to the high E string, 8, 7, and 5. That's just a little legato basically. 8, 7, 5, and then we have 8 on the B string. What I do for this little legato, I pull off and I hammer on the 8. I don't even pick it. See, I'm not even picking it. And that all has to do with just the fluidity itself, right? I mean, it's much quicker to do it that way, and it sounds just the same as you would be picking it, or even better. Then we move on to the following part of exercise 1. That would be on the D string, 2 and 3, and then you move to 5 with your index finger. Play 0 on the B, open string, and then 5 on the G, and then you let it all ring. And even there you also have just muted moments, silent moments. And from there we keep our finger, the middle finger, on the 5 on the G string. We pull off to 4, and then that's when exercise 2 starts. So exercise 1. Important things to take note of are really muting the strings when you're playing the different chords, right? So you're playing the open notes, and then you automatically mute it with your other fingers, the rest of the strings. Little hammer on there instead of picking it for the fluidity. And here, make sure to add those quick silent moments in between. Now we're moving on to exercise 2, which follows kind of the same structure, but not really. So exercise 2 looks like this. So we finished here on exercise 1, and then we're gonna commence the other part of the riff, right? Again, we're starting off with a chug, but instead of doing 2 chugs after each other, we're gonna chug it 0, 0, 3, move all the way up on the high E10. You pick that 4 times, and it's really you have to really give it that little burst of alternate picking speed. And mostly you don't have to think about it, you know, giving it the allotted time that it needs to be played, and you just give it that burst. You're probably gonna hit 4 notes easily and then jump right back to the chug. So the chug, and you go back to the chug. So chug, high notes, chug. After the second chug, you go to the 5th fret, D, G, B once again. Then we have 9, 7 on the G, 9, 7 on the D, and then 8, 7 on the A. And it's all palm muted. Then we go back to 5, 5, 9, that chord. So basically it's the same riff in exercise 1, but you're throwing all these other little nuances in between. So instead of having just the chug, you're adding, and instead of just having, you're adding. Right, so it's all those little things that kind of make the riff evolve and make it interesting. Once we finish there, so we have 9, 7, 9, 7, 8, 7, and then chug it. We go back to the legato, right? It's the same process. But instead of ending it the way we did in exercise 1, we're ending it differently. We're going all the way to the low E string, and we're playing the following. Right, so right there we are at the lower E string. We have 0, 2, 3 on the E, and then open string on the A. And then we skip a string and we go to the G string, 5, 4. And then we hit the chord 3, 3, 5. So that's on the 3rd fretboard. 3, 3, and then 5 on the D. Then we shift to 2. Scratch it 3 times. And then 2, 3. 3 being on the A string. And there are a couple of nuances there as well. Instead of playing it open, you have to mute it. And notice how when I'm playing it, I'm not actually picking the lower notes. I'm actually hammering on while I'm palm muting. And that also has to do with the speed and fluidity. You could pick it if you like. I mean, if you pick it and it sounds good, then that's fine as well. So what can we learn from that part of the riff? Well, basically, you can, if you have a song that may have some simple riffing to it, right? Simple chugs here and there, a lot of open spaces in between. In order to add variety, you can fill in those little pockets of opportunity. With, you know, some spice, sprinkle some spice over it, make it more interesting for the listener as you're repeating the riff, but then it slowly morphs as the song progresses. Now we're moving on to the last part, exercise 3. We're basically repeating exercise 1 and 2 entirely. So we're going back to the simplified version in the beginning, and then going back to the version where you're throwing things in between those pockets of opportunity. And now in the last part, basically what changes, which is basically exercise 2, the tail end of exercise 2 changes to what you see in the tabs in exercise 3. All right, so exercise 2, once more, you know, we have those little pockets of opportunity, we fill them in. And after this, that's where the new variation, well, it's not even, it's barely new really, it's the same except you're fleshing out some of the notes into entire chords. So remember we had the tail end. Everything stays the same except after this chord. Okay, take a look. That's the only thing that changed. So instead of just hitting 2 and then 2, 3 at the end, you're hitting it just a whole chord, 2, 3, and then 5 on the D. And that's basically the end of it, really. That's going to be it for today's guitar study. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope it was helpful, and I hope that you can learn a lot from Plini's guitar playing. If you want to talk anything guitar or related to this video, hit me up in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, stick around for more content by hitting that sub button, and I will see you all again next time in another guitar video.